Ram is removing all their V8s from their trucks. Let's talk about this. Welcome to the Joel TORQ podcast. Obviously, my name is Joel TORQ. Season 2 of the podcast. New format for 2022. You'll find more podcast format for this year. Previously, we did a little bit of news and all that, but this year we're gonna have a brand new format available on YouTube in the video format and also on the podcast platform. Pretty much everywhere, Apple Podcasts, Google, Amazon, all of them. You can listen to my podcast also on Spotify. All right, so what to expect about the Joel TORQ podcast in the upcoming season? Basically, we're going to talk about my reviews. I review cars each week, also about news. We're going to do some questions and also some mail time. I get stuff all the time here. I test products, automotive products and all that. So that's pretty much what you have to expect about the upcoming episode of the Joel TORQ podcast. So first of all, let's talk about news. Some big rumors about the Stellantis new engine coming up for basically all their trucks and Jeep. It's called the Tornado. It's going to be inline 6 turbo. So basically, if you're a truck guy, it's some kind of Ford EcoBoost. Toyota also has got V6 twin turbo now. But a really nice approach from the Stellantis brand with the inline 6 turbo. So basically, the rumor is, it's all part of the Stellantis projects to downsize a little bit their engine and make that move more and more their way through the electrification, I could say. This Tornado engine is going to be a new 3-liter. They call it the GME T6 HO engine. That's the official name of it. And they started already the production of that engine on November 22nd of 2021. So this engine, it's a brand new engine. I think it's going to replace basically the 5.7 liter Hemi. I'm not saying the Hemi is going to go away, but we have to expect this engine is going to be pretty much in everything, kind of like Ram 1500 size, I could say. So they call that engine the Global Medium Engine Turbo 6. It's got a HO designation for this engine. So HO stands for high output. So this engine looks on paper pretty decent. So we have to expect it's going to be under the hood of the Ram 1500, the Jeep Grand Cherokee Wagoneer, the Dodge Durango, and other vehicle. It may produce around 400 horsepower and 500 foot-pounds of torque. Once again, it's going to benchmark against the 3.5 liter twin turbo EcoBoost from Ford. Ram needs to step up their game, bringing those engines. And especially if you live in Canada, just like me, I love V8s and all that, but it gets pretty expensive now to own a V8. And I'm not speaking just on the fuel economy. Some Turbo 6 and some V8s get pretty much the same, fuel economy. But, as an owner of a truck, especially here in Quebec, you get more tax. It's more expensive every year to put your license plates on a bigger displacement engine. So when you get something like an EcoBoost, just a quick example, I own a GMC Yukon Denali with a V8 6.2 liter, and my dad's got a Lincoln Navigator with the EcoBoost HO. And pretty much every year it costs him pretty much half of what I'm paying every year. So sometimes, a smaller displacement engine can be cheaper on the long run. So some source says this engine will debut in the 2022 Jeep Grand Wagoneer sometimes before Q3 of 2022. This move makes a lot of sense. I think the Grand Wagoneer, it's a great product. It looks great, but with the V8 6.4 liter, it's really tough on the fuel economy side, especially when you compare it to the Lincoln products. Even the Cadillac with their diesel, they're crushing easily that V8 6.4. So, Stellantis needs to bring an optional powertrain, so people are able to buy a Grand Wagoneer without always being at the gas station. Especially lately, the price of gas is raising and it's more expensive than it was. I think that's the right move from the guys at Stellantis. All right, now let's talk a little more about the reviews I had lately on the channel. If you're not subscribed, the channel is called TORQ Army. I review cars pretty much every week. Lately, just before Christmas and during the holiday vacation, I had 3 cars lately. I'll try to do a weekly, update for the upcoming weeks for the podcast. But I'm gonna go over the 3 latest reviews I had. First of all, I had the Mach-E GT Performance, the Ford Mustang Mach-E. Second time I'm driving the Mach-E. This one is the GT. The other one I had a bit earlier this past season was the Mach-E 4X extended range. It was extremely hot when I had the other Mach-E, so the range was affected. I lose pretty much, maybe 15 to 20% of the range of the battery. And the previous week I had the Mach-E GT Performance, bigger battery, more performance, a little bit less range for that particular Mach-E. This one that week was a little bit colder, not extremely cold, but around minus 5 Celsius, minus 10 Celsius. I noticed easily a 30% less range on that Mach-E. Normally the EPA or the range you're supposed to do with that Mach-E, it's around 418 kilometers. And the maximum kilometers I was able to do during my week of review was 270 kilometers, something like that. And the thing is about this Mach-E GT Performance, it's not like driving a real Mustang or having something fun with a big engine like a Hellcat or something like that. The thing is, when you have like a sport version of something, you like to have fun with it. You like to push it, down the curve, do some acceleration, do some kind of launch control and all that. You like to have fun or bring it to the track or something like that. The thing with the Mach-E, every time you push it, you have to make some big sacrifice on the range. And obviously, I'm not well equipped here at home. I don't own a charger, stage 2. I'm not, fully equipped to do some real reviews of these electric cars like a normal owner of a car. I'm expecting to install a charger at home. It's a big investment, especially when I don't do a lot of those reviews. Lately I do probably 4 to 5 electric cars per year. In the upcoming years, I may do a little bit more. So it's still a good 2 to 3 grand investment to install that charger. And usually, when I have a plug-in hybrid or a small, electric car, I'm able to I'm able to recharge it with the 110 outlet. So I'm gonna use I'm always gonna say like level 1, level 2, level 3. So a quick reminder, level 1 is the normal outlet from your house, so a 110. The level 2 is going to be a 220, 240 volt. So it's going to be a charger you can install at home. And a level 3 is going to be a DC charger. A DC charger, it's around 480 volt. That's something you'll find in a charging station, and not all of them are level 3. Those are more rare, I could say. So usually with the 110 outlet, I'm able to, recharge it at home because the Mach-E GT is such a bigger, battery. It's a 88 kilowatt battery. And what I noticed with the level 1, normal outlet, during the winter, if you don't have a charger or a garage, maybe around 50% of all that energy is used or lost into warming up that battery. So it's almost impossible to recharge fully your Mach-E during the winter if you don't have a heated garage. So that was a surprise for me. That was a first. Usually I get those cars during the summer, and I'm able to plug it in 24 hours, 48 hours or something like that, and I get a full charge. And it was not the case with the Mach-E. I had to use a level 2 charger, and I was able to top it at home to have a full charge. So how is it to drive that Mach-E GT? As a previous Mustang owner, I was expecting a little bit much out of this GT performance model. I could say, behind the wheel, other than the suspension difference between the GT and a non-GT model, it feels the same. Yes, it's more powerful, but you don't get the extra drama when you step up in the normal Mustang lineup or Challenger lineup or something like that, or Camaro. It's not like you have a better transmission, more exhaust note, a sound from the intake. There's no sound. So it's just like it push more. You get less range. Yes, it's more comfortable. I think Ford have done an amazing job with the seats, the suspension. I think it's a little bit better also with the GT. You get better tires and all that. One of the weak point of the other Mach-E I had, the tires were not performance tires. They were really, high mileage electric car tires, I could say. So when you push down the curve, those tires, they're not really good. So I could say it's one of the best electric car I drove for the pleasure of it and the practicality side. Is it worth it to buy that Mach-E for $90,000? I think you won't get the driving experience. You can step inside probably of a X3M competition, X4M competition I had on the channel. Go check this out. This thing was a rocket. That was so fast. I think even if it's a gasoline, model, I know I'm not comparing, electric cars with electric cars, but just the driving experience behind the wheel, I think it was way much more fun with the gasoline cars and faster also. The Mach-E GT performance is quick, 0 to 100 or 0 to 60 miles an hour, but over 60 miles an hour, over 100 kilometers, over 120 kilometers, that's where most electric cars have their weak points. They're not quick at higher speed. Yes, a lot of you guys are going to say but it's not legal to go to those higher speed and all that. But it depends, if you're going to use it on track, if you're based in Germany on the Autobahn and all that, most extreme high performance, electric cars have some kind of a transmission. And from my point of view, that was something missing inside of that Mach-E GT performance. I wish the Mach-E GT performance over 120 or 140 kilometers an hour would, shift a gear to get more torque, just get that momentum going to get to the higher speed. If I compare this car with other electric cars, it's amazing. If I compare it with gasoline cars, performance cars, the pleasure was not there. Okay, another car I had to review lately. It was the Infiniti QX55 Sensory. So a brand new coupe SUV from Infiniti. Once again, this car is pretty much the same kind of shape of the Mach-E GT, about the size. The other car I had to review during the holiday was the Volvo XC60. So 3 cars, similar, kind of like shape, but a lot of different approach, like big time. One is electric, one is kind of sporty. I could say the QX55 is kind of tried to be sporty, but it's not really. The Volvo XC60 is all about like comfort. So the QX55, it's hard. These Nissan Infiniti, they're struggling. I think they're trying to do some move, and I think they shouldn't do something like that, the QX55. I don't think it's a big enough market, that coupe sport SUV for them, trying to compete with the Mercedes-Benz GLE Coupe, the BMW X4M, or the Audi and all that. It's just they don't have the budget, they don't have the technology enough to invest to compete with the Germans, from my point of view. Instead of creating a brand new model, they should invest more in their actual model they have, the QX50 or the QX60. This model, style-wise, I think it looks great. The engine was not powerful enough. We've got that funky 4-cylinder, 2-liter VC turbo. So the VC stands for variable compression. So the engine's gonna change compression, adapting to your driving style, I could say. So it's gonna have a different compression for fuel economy, a different compression for performance, and obviously it's a CVT. I think once again the engine was funky for this type of SUV. It was really far behind the powertrain and the transmission and all that you'll find in the BMW and Mercedes-Benz. The screen inside, I'm not a big fan. I think it's just old technology, especially again when you compare it to the competition. So overall, QX55, I was not impressed. It felt like it was in a 2022 envelope, but the rest of the QX55 was just something from 5 years ago. So that basically resume a little bit my review of the QX55. Once again, all these reviews are available on my YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. They're 0 to 60, 0 to 100. I do all the fuel economy, the cargo, and all that. So go check it out on the channel. Finally, I had 2 weeks with the Volvo XC60 B6 Inscription all-wheel drive 2022. Been refreshed for 2022. Not a big refresh. You really have to notice it's a 2022. Normal Joe won't be able to tell the difference between a 2021 and a 2022. Really comfortable, by far one of the best in my top 3 most comfortable SUV. You've got an air suspension, amazing seats. Other than that, it's a Volvo. From my point of view, it's way too complicated for nothing. They're putting under the hood 4-cylinder direct injection, turbo, electric supercharger, and on top of that, there's a ISG system. It's a mild hybrid system. So many stuff under the hood. But the thing is, when you put so much stuff under the hood, you expect some kind of performance out of this Volvo, or some good fuel economy. But the result of all that technology, I didn't do any good performance or any good fuel economy numbers. So that was a big disappointment. I don't know why Volvo is doing so much stuff under the hood and make it so complicated. Same thing with Nissan with their variable compression and all that. They should, just concentrate on doing a good powertrain with a good transmission. Putting all those funky stuff, I think, is just a recipe to be not reliable on the long run. That's my point of view. Why not putting a nice inline 6, just like BMW is doing, and putting in everything and updating that engine and just make it more perfect and tweak it up, that engine, to make it really good. that's my point of view on these. So overall, of these, Mach-E GT, I was a little bit disappointed about the driving experience, but still probably my favorite electric car so far. QX55, I think it's a nice try from Infiniti, but they need to bring more technology, invest more money in these products to compete with the competition. And the Volvo XT60, I think, if you like Volvo, you like the spirit of the brand, the safety and all that, the comfort is a priority for you. Great products. I wouldn't buy one. I would rent one. Once the warranty is off, I will set it or, switch to something else. Too many stuff under the hood. I wouldn't trust that. All right, now it's time for the mail time. This week I received $3 from my friends at Autoglym Canada. They sent me pretty much their lineup of projects, and I have to try those. Usually, it's always tough to test those detailing products during the winter, especially when you don't have a garage or a specific place. But I've used their products before, and they feel really high-end, really high quality. I know a lot of people who's in the show and shine, circuit. They're using those products, so they send me pretty much everything they've got on their catalog. Here, I've got a really nice ceramic coating. I've got a bunch of stuff in that box. I've got 3 full boxes of stuff. And, I've got an interior shampoo right here. I've got a leather cleaner. My wife used that lately. One of our daughter got sick in our Yukon Denali. And I was pretty glad to have all those cleaning products to clean my Denali, because I want to keep it clean. And inside of a Yukon Denali, you've got a higher, quality of leather inside of this Yukon. So I want to, even if it's the family truck, the family hauler, I could say, I like to keep it clean. So I'm going to keep you guys updated on these products. I've got also the big ones, to use with my pressure washer and all that. I've got some foam gun. I can use that. The polar wash. There's a 3-step with these. I tried it last year. It works pretty great. And, You have to love to wash your cars. There are so many products. It's endless. Obviously, I review cars every week. I used a ton of these products each week to try to keep those cars clean. It's always hard, especially during winter time. Sometimes they're kind of like a mess, but it always depends of the the weather. But keeping those cars I review every week perfect, it's really, really hard, especially with the weather here in Canada. All right, now it's time for the round of question. I've received a little bit of question, especially in my DM on my Instagram account, and also on TORQ Army account on Instagram. I haven't done a round of question officially for this podcast, so if you have any question for me, you can put it down here underneath the YouTube video, and I'm gonna answer your question on the next podcast. So first question, I've got a lot. How do you review cars from the manufacturers and all that? Basically, all the cars I have each week comes from the manufacturers. Sometimes I'm gonna do some private cars and some from the dealership, but 90% of the time, if it come from the press fleet of the manufacturers. So first of all, I'm not an auto journalist. I don't write. I don't do blogs and all that. Only do videos, photos, and podcasts. I've been in the automotive industry for a while now. Just with my background, I was able to, fit in this, small world of the auto reviewer, auto journalist, because, my background, pretty much quick background. I've been to the Georgian College in Ontario. It was an automotive program about marketing and business. So basically, it gives you the steps how to manage a dealership. Then after that, I moved to West Palm Beach in Florida. I went to the Northwood University to finish my BBA in automotive marketing and management. So first of all, I've got the degree and all that, really in my niche automotive world. Then after that, I work several years, for the manufacturers in the auto show events and also training for the dealership. Spent a lot of time with GM, Ford. I did the Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, and all that. I spent most of my time with Ford. I spent a lot of time doing auto show across the U.S. and Canada with Ford. So that gave me a lot of networking connection into this area of the automotive world. So basically, when you're in the auto shows, events, and all that, you're pretty close to the marketing team and also the PR team of each manufacturers. And that's how you get those connections. And after that, I built, TORQ Army. I built a decent following with all my social media. So Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, name it now, podcast. Once I had a good following, I was able to apply for those press fleet, and I became some kind of automotive influencer. But most influencer, they don't know a lot of things about cars. I've got a great background. I've got a lot of training from many manufacturers. So, I know my stuff. And after spending more than 15 years in the auto show world, speaking about cars with the people in front of you each day, responding to all the questions, you get pretty good with cars and your knowledge also. So that's pretty much the step I had to do to get access to those cars and starting to review those cars. Obviously, if you don't have any, network, I've got more than 1 million followers on my TORQ Media network. TORQ Media is the company behind all the TORQ Army, TORQ Off-Road, Joule TORQ, F-TORQ, all that. The TORQ podcast in French, now the Joule TORQ podcast in English. I've got channel in French and English. I've got a nice, reach, especially in North America, in Canada, and in the US. So that's how I made my name in the industry. And after that, you have to make your reputation, once you're able to review those cars, you have to take care of those cars, be on time and keep those cars clean. Don't break those cars. Don't do any burnouts, drift, and do silly stuff with them. Then you make a reputation years after years. Then you're gonna unlock more and more manufacturers. So far, I'm dealing with mostly all manufacturers. There's probably 2 brands I'm still working to get access to those brands. Some brands are more old school. If you're not a journalist or if you're not part of the association here in Canada of the Ajax and all that, for them you're not a real auto journalist or a real car reviewer. That's something with time, we're going to work on that, especially these days with social media. A lot of car influencer, I could say, they have more reach than any, journalist or just the normal newspaper or even on TV. Sometimes they don't get the reach, the impression they had back in the days. So the manufacturers have to adapt themselves to that new vibe, new generation of car reviewers. So that basically, resume a little bit how to, get access to those. Obviously, if you're a YouTuber and you've got 1 million followers and every week you're, blowing engines and jumping over a Lamborghini or just like doing silly stuff or talking about politics, maybe the manufacturer won't deal with you to let you a nice car for a week. So that basically how it works. You have to be professional, basically. All right, so that concludes the question rounds for today's podcast. In the upcoming weeks, we have to expect a lot of news from the automotive world. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep you on the loops for these news. The holiday break is done, so things gonna move. A lot of auto shows been canceled, especially here in Canada, Montreal, Toronto, maybe Quebec. And all the rest, we have to expect Calgary, Edmonton, and Vancouver is going to be canceled too. In the U.S. also, it's not looking good. So instead of having, the typical product launch, the press, trips and all that, I was getting back into those trips, but now we're back in almost a complete lockdown. I'm not expecting to travel, so that's why these podcasts make sense. I was, planning to do some vlogs while, traveling and doing all those events and attending those auto shows and those, product launch. But I guess it's going to be back like 2020 and having everything online. So I'm going to keep you on the loop on this podcast. And don't forget, you can subscribe, like, and share. Join me on Facebook. So if you're on the road, this podcast will be available pretty much everywhere you can listen a podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and put your reviews. And we're going to see each other on the next podcast.